Hey guys, Evan from Land here. We're gonna do this new series highlighting some of our parts, our design philosophies, and where it ends up on the bike, and some of the stories behind those parts and why we made those decisions. The first thing that we're gonna talk about is the axle dropout plate. So we're gonna show you some of the iterations, kind of the big level stuff. So like we have about 3 different versions of this that we're gonna show you, but there's been a lot of little stuff. And we're working on the newest one, which will probably start hitting bikes in probably the new year. So here you can see a couple of different versions of this part. So we have this one on screen, which was our very first prototype one. As you can see, it looks like garbage. But you know, you have to be able to use the things at your disposal at certain times in your development program. So this was good enough to get the bike going, but obviously, like the things I talked about on the demo bike, we wanted this to be a special moment of the bike where you kind of complete the form and it really showcases kind of the design philosophies that we have. So this works as a lollipop pulley. So this is pretty traditional, like vintage 70s, early 70s, late 60s bikes. Really simple. And this would be all steel and welded and pretty complicated for what it needed to be. And we built in a lot of these features in the part itself when we moved to aluminum. So when we moved to aluminum, we actually started with this piece. So this is a carbon nylon 3D print. And we actually did the first like 7 bikes with these on it. So we were actually using this part as a functional piece until we started to get to the point where we started doing jumps and kind of seeing where that limit was just with the prototypes, and it's still plastic. So I think we have a picture that we'll probably share right here. And but it was fun, and it crashed great. You know, I didn't crash like too hard, didn't fall off the bike. So when it fails, it failed good. So obviously you see the transition to the aluminum piece, and this is used, right? Big difference between this part and where we are now is the backing piece. So where we're just bolting to our swing arm now, this had an inset steel piece that was secured. So this was more of like an alignment piece, and it didn't really take a lot of the structure, whereas this is doing a lot more work. It's a lot more holistic of a design. So here we have 2 different versions of our swing arm assembly. As you can see, this one has that steel backing plate I was just talking about. And the reason why we changed, even though this worked really well, one was we couldn't incorporate a belt drive, but also the complexity in all of these welds and alignment. So if you see how this piece interacts with our tube, we have a lot of different welds that run along this part, and even welds that you can't see that kind of clean up this surface. So we knew it was going to be something that was labor intensive and difficult to do. So we changed a lot of that and built it into this design. And just from the backside, you can see how much more simple this is, right? So you're bolting 4 bolts on each side, and it really completes the part and provides the structure you need to have a lot of fun on our bikes. And it's a lot more elegant. You know, I think this is really getting to where we wanted the part to be, where it's not just on the outside, how clean it is on the outside, but even on the inside, right? A lot of what we focused on with a lot of the parts that we're gonna get in on this series are, you know, some of the details that you don't see. And for us, this was, you know, something we had to do to get going. But as we grow and improve our parts and our manufacturing methods, you'll see even parts like this continue to improve and get more detail and more function in them. This is one of my favorite parts of the bike. I think it looks really, really beautiful.